Okay, hi. This is video 4, I guess. Don't worry, I turned off the ringer this time, so no more phone calls. So, and hopefully this one will be around 5 minutes. Okay. So, I'm going to be talking about a movie called Angel Eyes, filmed in 2001, and I guess around Chicago. Or, you're supposed to believe they're in Chicago. Um, Okay, so your main stars are Jennifer Lopez, Jim Caviezel, and Shirley Knight, and Terrence Howard, but he plays a bit part in this one compared to his other roles. All right, so there are your 4 people. Okay, so um, once again, this is a little bit of a romantic story, but it's not like your typical romantic comedy, or this is more romantic drama, and you really don't know if they're gonna get together until the very end, really. Okay, so okay, they meet because she's a police officer and he has just had a major wreck in his car because he took his eyes off the road at the wrong time, and a truck, I think. It looked like a big truck, hit him head on, killing his wife and son. And he's left alone. And at first, I thought he was going to die because he was in the state of not fully conscious, but not yet out of it, like that in between stage. So, she says, "Take my hand," and he says, "Okay," or something, but he's not really conscious, so he just grabs the hand, and you're not really sure if he's gonna make it or not. And this was a year, like they start off a year ago because it happened a year, and present day is a year later than that. Okay, so it was kind of confusing for a second because until I figured it out. And they give you the little thing at the bottom of the screen 1 year later. But yeah, okay. So then you have to go, okay, so this happened a year ago. So he's been living without his wife and son for a year. And they seem to be pretty young, like not 20s, but I'd say maybe 30s. So that's still young, you know what I mean? So imagine your whole world taken away in 1 minute. And then what do you do after that? So um, you would think, okay, he seemed like a drifter in the beginning, but he's not. He is, I think you're supposed to believe he's her guardian angel because he saves her from some situations, and he saved her from being shot actually because somebody shot at her, and she did wear the vest, but it's still, the bullet kind of ricocheted off her, but he saved her from being shot point blank range. And so and then after that he kind of falls in love with her, but it's gradual because she goes to the same coffee shop with her cop buddies, and he happens to see her through a window. So then he likes the look of her, but it's not love yet. Okay? So then he goes back to the coffee shop a couple times and sees her through the window. Then they meet, but then he's really weird and like sketchy on the details because he's like, she says, "What's your name?" He says, "It's Catch. Just Catch. No name, no last name, just Catch." Then, when she starts asking a little bit about his past, he shuts down. But then also, she has this way because she's a police woman that it's like an interrogation. So, it's kind of like people don't want to deal with that. Feel like they're being interviewed on a date. And I can attest to that because, yeah, it's just not, that's not kosher. But anyway, okay. So then, okay. Outward appearances, she seems like she's all put together and everything. But of course, there's something deeper. And her family, her father was very abusive to her mother when they were growing up. And the abuse has gone through the generations because now the son, her brother, is abusive to his wife. And okay, I'll give you all the players' names. I gave you most of them, but her mother's played by Sonia Braga, and the sister-in-law is played by Monet, I think, Mazur, Mazur. So, okay. So then what happens is she finds out what's going on with her brother because there's a call to her house, her sister-in-law's house. And another policewoman tries to get information from the sister-in-law, but she's not talking. So she kind of talks to Jennifer Lopez, but when Jennifer Lopez says get out and like it's not a good situation, she says, how dare you be policing my house and in my life? So, apparently there was abuse going on in her house when she was a kid, Jennifer Lopez. And the character's name is Sharon, okay? But there's abuse going on, and she's the one who turned her father in. But then he's kind of never forgiven her for that. And so there's that. And so she's kind of lost too. So then you get the picture more of it's kind of like two lost souls finding each other, and the way he put it was two souls being able to sense out. So like smell you out or something. It's really like when I say it, it sounds corny, but in the movie it doesn't sound like that. Okay. So then Shirley Knight plays the she is the mother-in-law. So she lost her daughter and her grandson in the same day, but she's still okay with the son-in-law. And she tries to get him to talk about it, but it doesn't work because he just shuts down and stuff. And then it's not until he meets Jennifer Lopez and she realizes that, there's another person in the picture. And the thing is that, like most people, I think, when you lose somebody, they want you to be happy again, but they don't say to you, like, I hope you find somebody. It's just like when you're happy, they're happy for you kind of a thing. So, yeah. And then, so then for the longest time, it's just cats and all this stuff. And like, she finally, okay, what happens is they go on a date and they go to a jazz club. And so they're starting to listen to the music and whatever. And then he happens to pick up a trumpet, just pick it up and start playing it. So then the original player who was playing it before he just put it down, says, "Oh, Steve, you're Steve Lambert." And he says, "No, you got the wrong guy, whatever." So then, because of the weird interaction, Jennifer Lopez goes back to the precinct or whatever and looks him up. And sure enough, he's Stephen Lambert. But along with Stephen Lambert, because, okay, I understood this the first time when I saw it, because if you give someone a name, that means you have to give them a past and everything and a life, okay? And if you don't want to deal with your past, you're not going to say your name because it brings up bad memories for you and or stuff you don't want to deal with right now. So by him saying no, I'm not, and you got the wrong guy, it wasn't that he was denying it. It was that he didn't want to deal with all the stuff that came along with it. But she did something bad, like not bad, but something that I wouldn't do. She kind of tried to force him to face his past and stuff. She tried to take him to the cemetery, but that didn't go well. And then she just gently says, with a little pressure, a little bit, she says, "You need to deal with your past and whatever, because you got to move on and all this stuff." So afterwards, like I'd say a week later, I'm saying for time's sake, I don't know. I'm guessing a week later. She says, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to push you." And then uh, she says, "No," he tells her, "Well, I went to the cemetery, saw my wife and son, and told him that I missed him and all this stuff. And then I told him about you because I love you, and you know." And then she said, "I love you too," and they were crying, and you know. So then the pivotal moment is one of the first scenes he says, "I don't have a car." So then it gives the impression he doesn't know how to drive. So in the last scene he says, "I'll drive." And and then they take off. She gets in the passenger seat and he gets in the driver's seat. And you can tell they're both happy. And then that's how the movie ends. But it's a doozy. I have to say that it's not long. It's like a little over 2.5 hours, but you have to be ready for this one because you have to be able to mentally distance yourself, aesthetically distance yourself to be able to watch this. Because if you don't, you'll get caught up in the fantasy part of it, and then when reality hits, you'll be confused. So just be prepared. But is it worth it? Yes, because it kept my interest, and um, I knew as a viewer, I knew he had to have a past. I just didn't know what it was. And when I found out what it was, I kind of felt bad. Like automatically, I felt pity for him. Like I was like, wow. And then once you get that in your head, totally shift the way you see the whole movie. So, all right, guys.